Hi everyone, thank you for coming. To those of you watching around the world via the live stream, thank you for attending. My name is Max Bernstein, and my family and I have been very close with the Fischers for many years now. Having spent much time in their house when I was in high school, the rabbi in Rebbetzin had a direct hand in positively influencing my Yiddishkeit and encouraging me to make Aliyah. Today I will share Rabbi Fischer's Hesped, or Eulogy, and a few former members of his community will share a few words as well from Ellen. Beforehand, I would just like to say a few words from me and my family. My whole family feels that we lost a very dear, close friend. Ellen meant so much to us. Over the years, she hosted my family in her home over many Shabbatot, including hosting my parents-in-law and wife when we got engaged. Ellen was witty, full of wry humor, and one of the kindest people that we ever met. What we will miss most about her was her love of life and her love for her family and friends. Ellen would extend herself and go out of her way to do anything for anyone in the Bernstein family, as she demonstrated repeatedly. She welcomed us all into her home without hesitation, an example we strive to emulate in our own homes now. Our hearts are broken over her loss. I'll now deliver over the Hesped that Rabbi Fischer wrote and requested me to read. In the 1500s, there was a very wealthy Jew in Krakow, Poland, who was perceived to be an unmitigated miser. He never seemed to give charity to anyone. As a result, he became known famously as Yossele the Miser. And yet, when he died, suddenly a crisis befell all the poor Jews in the shtetl. Each had been finding anonymous envelopes left at their doors every Thursday night for years, always with a note on it reading, Likvod Shabbat, in honor of the Shabbat. Each envelope was just enough cash to assure that each poverty-stricken recipient family would have enough money to make it through the week. And everyone soon figured out that the person they had berated as Yossele the Miser had been the most generous man who ever lived, because when Yossele died, the envelopes stopped. It is said that when Yossele ascended to Shemayim, to heaven, upon his passing, his soul's joy upon entering the sanctuary with Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah was reduced by one aspect of deep sadness. Even in heaven, there were no poor people in Gan Eden. There no longer would be anyone to whom Yossele could give tzedakah to brighten their Shabbos, their weeks, and their lives. Rebbetzin Ellen Fischer was a regular kid, a simple girl born to an honorable, noble, decent, ethical, working-class family in Binghamton in upstate New York. Not many great Jewish leaders come from Binghamton. Ellen worked hard in school, got good grades, even graduated second salutatorian in her high school class. Her parents were the most traditional family at the local conservative temple. When the temple management decided to move the congregation to the fancier, ritzier part of town, they increased annual membership dues and instituted a mandatory building fund. Ellen's parents were just not positioned to support such a move, so they left the temple and joined the local Orthodox shul, Beth David. That meant Ellen would now be in the Orthodox Youth Movement, NCSY, and no longer in the conservative temple group. Ellen became an Orthodox girl with gusto. Ellen Groh would go to her grandparents for Shabbat lunch, and then would spend the rest of Shabbat day with her Binghamton NCSY friends. She loved NCSY conventions where cool madrichim, or youth advisors, with long hair and guitars, would play Hebrew folk songs and zmirot, and everyone would dance and sing at kumsitzes. All of the gifts and skills, the passions and loves that would define Rebbetzin Ellen's life were now starting to display themselves and take root. Ellen went to Syracuse University, the best regional college in upstate New York, and she graduated 4th in her class. She ate her meals at the kosher food plan that brought all the Orthodox students together. That is where she met her first husband, and the son of Holocaust survivors who had been in the Warsaw Ghetto and then escaped to fight with the partisans. Her husband pursued a law degree, so brought Ellen with him to Los Angeles, where he attended law school. They ended up in the Valley Village community of the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles, and they became active in the Shaarei Tzedek congregation. Meanwhile, Ellen was developing a career. She once had spent summers packing potato chips for Frito-Lay and remembered having to take long showers to get out the feel of oil. Later, she became a secretary at an insurance company where salesmen harassed her because she was beautiful and they could get away with bothering her. She finally went to her boss crying and he put an end to it. But Ellen aspired for more. Rebbetzin Ellen saw a job announcement at UCLA's Audit and Advisory Services, and she applied. She was hired and became a certified fraud examiner and a certified internal auditor, a real CIA. She rose to become manager of investigations, investigating allegations of white-collar crime like fraud and embezzlement. She became a star in her field. University deans consulted her. Crooks feared her. One of her cases became so famous that it was written up in the Los Angeles Times. She became a member of the editorial board of the main magazine in her professional field. Her write-up of that famous case became the first chapter in the leading textbook in her field. But even as Rebbetzin Ellen was shining on her way to a sterling 31-year career as manager of investigations at UCLA, a whole nother side of her was waiting to emerge. Full of energy, a fabulous dancer, a singer with a voice so sweet that her high school choir teacher told her she had perfect pitch. Ellen also wanted to touch people's lives religiously, and she wanted to have Shabbat guests that she could cook for. She certainly already had so many friends in the Shaarei Tzedek community, people with whom she could sing in shul and dance on Simchat Torah, people for whom she could cook when they would visit for a Shabbat meal. Ellen loved to cook, and she was a great cook. The best kosher caterer in Orange County asked her for some of her recipes. But Ellen did not yet have a larger world to cook for, to sing with and to dance with. She still did not have a complete outlet for all of her gifts, her religious passions, and her greater Jewish aspirations. That all started to change on February 27th, 2000, when she accepted a phone call from Rav Dov Fischer. Ellen's first marriage had ended after 21 years, and Rav Fischer's had ended after 25 years. On that night, they talked for 4 hours, each with a sore throat, croaking like two frogs in a Budweiser commercial. 3 nights later, they met for dinner at 7 p.m. They started talking about their respective humble working-class family roots, their shared values, their commitment to centrist Orthodox Judaism, their dreams for the future. 3 hours later, at 10 p.m., the waiter came and asked, "Are you two going to order anything at all tonight? They're about to close the kitchen." That first night, Rav Dov and Ellen found themselves deeply in love. It was just a matter of waiting a few days before telling each other, because neither one wanted to seem unbalanced. For the next 20 years, Rav Dov and Ellen became inseparable. They found that they liked mostly the same things. Rav Fischer agreed to watch an occasional cooking show on TV, and Ellen would let him watch baseball. They both loved Seinfeld and Srugim, but they were particularly devoted to Judaism, to Torah, to spreading love, and to caring. They reached out wherever they could find the need in people's hearts to be approached by a Rav or Rebbetzin. When Rav Fischer, who had become a top-notch attorney specializing in complex business litigation, told Ellen that he wished so much that he could leave law practice and return to being a Rav, Ellen encouraged him to make the change. She told him not to worry about the money. When Rav Fischer told her that he no longer could bear the daily practice of law, but instead wanted to teach law, Ellen said, "Whatever makes my Dov happy is what makes me happy." When Rav Fischer explained to Ellen that he had a passion to write on secular, political, and Jewish religious issues of the day, Ellen said, "If that makes you happy and fulfilled, if that is what you feel called to do, then do it. And don't worry about the money. Once the publications realize how much you offer, they will pay you. And if they don't, all I want is for my Dov to be happy." And Rav Fischer's new pursuits opened the door for Ellen to realize her own passions and life dreams that this little girl from Binghamton never imagined possible. Their home became a center for Torah. Every week, more than 100 people came in and out of their home, whether to attend the Tuesday night Chumash class, the Thursday night Talmud class, Sunday morning women's advanced Torah text class, the Friday night minyan, the Sunday morning minyan, or to participate at the Friday night Shabbat dinner group of 15 young professionals ages 28 to 45. Individuals came to the house for pastoral counseling. Boys came to study for bar mitzvah, girls came to learn Rashi, Hebrew, and davening. Prospective couples came for prenuptial sessions. Rebbetzin Ellen also taught Kala class to prospective brides. Teens came to learn Gemara or Navi, the book of prophets, with Rav Fischer, to start learning some conversational Hebrew to prepare for their planned Aliyah moves to Israel. Couples came to discuss difficulties at home. In each and every way, Rebbetzin Ellen was at the center of the shul and the programming. On Tuesday nights, after 2 hours drive home from LA to Irvine on the jammed 405, she set the table and took out the cookies and crackers for Chumash class. On Wednesday nights, while Rav Fischer taught law school, Rebbetzin Ellen shopped for Shabbat cooking. And on Thursday night, while Gemara class was going on, she was in the kitchen cooking a magnificent 4-course meal every week. For soups, she might be making her fabulous homemade chicken soup or vegetable soup or lentil soup. Then there was gefilte fish. Then the main entree might be her brisket or her London broil or her kokavin chicken or her roast beef. There would be her lakshan kogel or her broccoli kogel or her 3-color vegetable kogel. She always included a vegetable. And then dessert. She was an amazing cook. Rav Fischer quickly figured out that people were coming to his Shabbat table not for his teachings, but for Rebbetzin Ellen's cooking. And once they were there, Rav Dov and Rebbetzin Ellen would lead with the singing of Zmirot, Shabbat table songs. With Lisa Pearl, who became one of Rebetzin's most valued friends, as were Judy Lapine, Barbara Walensky, Denise Fitzpatrick, Ruth Book, and Marlene Schiffer, everyone would sing for an hour, ending with benching. There was not a facet of the shul where Rebbetzin Ellen was not central. For Sunday morning women's class, she laid out a huge brunch, and then sat and participated in the intellectually rigorous 2-hour class. When people came for meals, she was there at the sink, towel in hand, to guide newcomers through the Netilat Yadayim, blessing recited while washing before eating bread. Before Hanukkah and Purim parties, she would sit on the phone all day, making dozens and dozens of phone calls to assure a great attendance. At the Pesach Community Sedarim, she co-hosted every Seder with her husband. These were dreams she never even knew that, as a girl from Binghamton, she could dare to dream. When she asked Rav Dov early during their courtship, "Will you allow me to have regular Shabbat dinner and lunch guests during our marriage?" he responded, "Let's go out right now and buy as many pots and pans as you can keep busy." They proved to be an amazing couple. The same sense of humor, similar inside references. As Rav Dov has said, it would be narcissistic to say that no couple ever loved each other as much as we, but it definitely can be said that no couple ever adored, admired, and deeply loved each other more than we. Even in that, they were both sticklers for English grammar. When watching TV, they would correct the wrong grammar on the screen. They loved watching Arrested Development, Shark Tank, Downton Abbey, and Better Call Saul. They loved movies like Fargo and The Producers. They loved driving 20 minutes to the kosher-certified Krispy Kremes for a donut and coffee, or spending an hour at a Coffee Bean. On special occasions, they would drive an hour each way to Los Angeles for dinner at Shiloh, and they both loved their steak rare. Yes, they differed a bit on desserts. Rav Dov loved the gooey ones, chocolate mousse and chiffon pies, while Rebbetzin Ellen loved nothing more than a piece of kichel with sugar on it, although she also loved key lime pie and pralines and cream ice cream. But more than anything else, Rebbetzin Ellen and Rav Dov loved each other. At the Friday night Shabbat table, she would not allow any other person, even those who helped with the serving, ever to serve the Rav's soup except for her. She adored him, and he adored her. For 20 years, he annually celebrated Telephone Day on February 27th with a different telephone-related gift each year. And during the past 3 years, Rebbetzin Ellen accompanied Rav Dov in the car every Wednesday for 2 hours to Los Angeles and then another 2 hours back to attend the 4 hours of law school classes that he taught. She would sit in the back of the classroom, reading a book about one of the American presidents, and whenever Professor Fischer would forget a word or a joke, he would ask her and she would fill it in. As their 20 years rolled by, it became even clearer that Rebbetzin Ellen actually was a tzaddiket, a righteous, holy woman. She used her beautiful singing voice to draw people to the love of Shabbat. She used her incredible dancing skills to engage women into dancing at weddings, at Simchat Torah, at Ofrufs, and at Bar Mitzvahs. She used her cooking skills to draw people to class and to Shabbat. She used her brilliant mind to teach Torah, sometimes in a group setting, sometimes in a one-on-one setting. Her beautiful face and smile did not have to be used. It simply drew people in. Her laughter was infectious. Her energy was so boundless that both her stepson Aharon and her husband called her the Energizer Rabbit. She had the most amazing long-term memory. Once it was in her head, it was locked in. A few weeks ago, when someone in the Fischer house saw a beautiful picture of their Hawaii honeymoon, someone asked the Rav who took the photo. He answered, "Who knows, it was 20 years ago." Rebbetzin Ellen, overhearing the exchange, softly interjected, "It was Ted the bus driver." And it was. And she was a most remarkable daughter. Every single morning for years, she would wake up at 5 a.m. Pacific time so that she could daven a complete morning shacharit prayer service and still FaceTime her father, Mr. Robert Groh, by 8:30 a.m. on the East Coast before he would begin his day. She loved her father so deeply that every Motzei Shabbat or Saturday night, she would call the Jewish home where her father now lives to check that he was all right, since she could not call that morning because of the rules of Shabbat. So now, this beautiful human being, a gift to so many hundreds who came to know her well, ends this segment of her beautiful, holy soul's eternal journey to Gan Eden, or paradise, and Olam Haba, the world to come. Few people whom we ever will encounter will deserve it more. But when she arrives, despite all the eternal rewards that surely await her as she merits benefiting from the light and luminescence of the Shekhinah, or God's omnipresence, she may feel a tinge of sadness because there will be no one in Gan Eden to cook for, no one to telephone for a shul program, no soup to serve her husband. But her soul will find comfort because there surely will be singing. There surely will be Torah. There surely will be a need for a soul that has a memory that can grasp all of eternity. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu watch over this holy, holy woman's neshama, guided through Gan Eden to elevated regions, and may our Rebbetzin Ellen be a Melitz Yosher, an advocate for us here in the halls of paradise. May her soul be blessed forever. Amen. Cora, if you'd like to come up and share a few words.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Cora Beeler, and we've been close friends with the Rabbi and Rebbetzin. Is that okay? Yeah. Cora Beeler, and we've been close friends and members of the Irvine community for many years. We spent many Shabbosim with the Rabbi and Rebbetzin, and I can say she's certainly going to be missed. What I have here I'd like to read is Ellen's retirement announcement. This was written about Ellen when she retired. UCLA Manager of Investigations, Ellen Fischer, is retiring this June after 31 years of service. Ellen grew up in the city of Binghamton, New York, which is on the New York-Pennsylvania border. She attended and graduated from Syracuse University, summa cum laude, with a BS degree in education psychology in 1978. Ellen came to UCLA in 1986 after spending 7 years in operations in the insurance industry. She started as an assistant auditor in March 1986. Over the next 10 years, she progressed through the various levels, auditing and overseeing audit projects on the campus. In 1988, she did her first investigation in the now defunct Department of Dance and was bitten by the investigation bug. When issues came up that would include some form of investigative process, Ellen was always up for the challenge. In 1992, Ellen fully transitioned to become UCLA's full-time investigator. Her investigative role was initiated by her investigation into criminal activity in the UCLA Department of Radiology, which turned out to exceed $6 million. Her partnership with the Assistant United States Attorney and the FBI agents she worked with on this case proved invaluable for many years following the successful prosecution and incarceration of the individuals involved. In 1995, she successfully investigated an assistant vice chancellor for diverting $500,000, $500,000 to fund his personal art and antiquities collection. The felony conviction required restitution and a year house arrest. This case provided fertile material for a two-part article in the March, April, and May-June issues of the ACFE's Fraud magazine. Additionally, this case became the lead chapter in Joseph T. Wells' book, Lessons from the Bad Side of Business, which is still sold through ACFE. In 2003, Ellen disclosed the embezzlement of over $250,000 by an operations manager in UCLA's Department of Biological Chemistry, who duped the department's payroll staff and authorized herself unapproved salary increases and bonuses. Successful prosecution resulted in a sentence in state prison. Ellen became the manager of investigations in 2000 and began to train and mentor audit staff in investigative procedures and interviewing techniques. She's been very effective in implementing the definition of break a rule, break the law, and educating management to understand the difference. Over the past 31 years, Ellen has earned an outstanding reputation as a professional investigator and has been sought out by senior management to assist in a variety of complex audit, investigative, and conflict of interest issues. Her interviewing and writing skills have been highlighted by many of those with whom she has provided service to and interacted with. She has written articles for the IIA and the ACFE and still remains on the ACFE's editorial review board for their Fraud magazine. She has cultivated a wonderful relationship with prosecutors and law enforcement agencies that she has had the opportunity to work with. The last sentence that was written for this retirement statement is, "We have benefited from Ellen's efforts, and we will miss her dedication, conversation, humor, and amazing memory recall." Allow me to add, that last sentence ended with the clause, "We will miss her amazing memory recall." Really, we are the ones left to recall our amazing memories of Ellen, a truly fine human being. Yes, we are the ones who will miss Ellen. Now we will have the amazing memory recall of an amazing person, Ellen Fischer.
I have an article over here that her husband requested that I read regarding a time that Ellen and Rabbi Fischer were away from home for the weekend. It's entitled Carpe Kiruv, and was written several years ago. Candles and Kiddush in Kentucky by Ellen Fischer. My husband Dov is an Orthodox pulpit rabbi, as well as an attorney and law professor. 3 years ago, Dov and I traveled to Louisville, Kentucky on the occasion that the federal judge for whom Dov clerked after law school was marking 30 years on the bench. As such, the judge convened a reunion of the clerks who served him over the years. As location and logistics would have it, Dov and I were to spend Shabbat in our hotel room, and so we provided for ourselves from the local Kroger's that served the surrounding kosher-keeping Jewish community. In addition to challah, grape juice, and real food, we bought some pastries under hashgacha, kosher supervision, deciding that we were on vacation and neither of us was studying for a blood sugar test upon our return home to California. The hotel provided a room refrigerator in which we disabled the light bulb so that we would not inadvertently turn on the light when opening the fridge door. Shabbat in Louisville began much later than I had ever seen because of the coordinates of longitude and latitude. That enabled Dov and me to attend a Friday afternoon social hour in a lobby of the hotel where we were staying without impinging on the impending Shabbat. Before attending the social hour, we set the lights in our room that we wanted to provide light throughout the Shabbat. I unpacked the tea lights, far more than I needed, and a box of matches, and off we went. Everything was in place for our return to the room when we were ready to start Shabbat. While at the afternoon social hour, I learned that a whole bunch of the attendees were Jewish. At one point, Dov heard me excuse myself from a conversation with a young lady, the fiancée of one of the former judicial clerks. I explained that I would be lighting Shabbat candles in a half hour or so and wanted to get to my room. The woman, Aliyah, said she had not brought candles and asked whether she might join me as I lit mine. I replied that I had plenty of extra candles and she could have 2 of them to light in her own room. Dov is a rabbi to the depths of his heart and is always on what I call soul patrol, even though he's never heard me use that expression. I just made it up for this article. Before Dov spoke, I heard in my own head the loud buzzer that signals wrong answer on TV quiz shows. It seems that my telling Eliza to light her own Shabbat candles in her own hotel room was the wrong answer. My thinking is that one lights candles where one is going to eat the Shabbat meal. Dov and I were going to eat Shabbat dinner in our room. I learned that Eliza, her fiancé, and a subgroup of the Jewish attendees were going to eat in one of the various local restaurants. Dov quietly whispered to me, "Habibi, it's not the candles she wants. It's to connect with you through the lighting of Shabbat candles. Let her join you. I'll be up in a while." Eliza came with me to our room. I lit my set of tea lights, and I guided Eliza with the bracha, the blessing, through her own lighting of her 2 tea lights. She got tears in her eyes and hugged me. I hugged her back. Okay, I'm not that big a curmudgeon. Then a knock at the door. "Mrs. Fischer?" I knew it wasn't Dov. He and I addressed one another less formally. I looked through the peephole and saw a man with 2 young boys. "Your husband, Rabbi Fischer, told me to come for Kiddush." I led the man, Brian, along with his 2 sons, maybe ages 7 and 9, into the room, and Eliza's fiancé, Josh, strode in after Brian and the boys. Another knock. "Your husband sent me," said a youngish man. No kids or other persons in tow. Not wanting to set off the wrong answer buzzer in my head, I sang out, come in, Shabbat Shalom." I had hoped Dov heard me in my usual hospitable tone. In he came, pulled out some peach-flavored grape juice from the kosher Kroger, and started singing Shalom Aleichem, swaying side to side with everyone joining in. Then Dov recited Kiddush and taught the group something about Shabbat and how we can observe Shabbat even when we are away from home. Brian's kids relished the peach grape juice and the pastries. I learned something special. Kiruv, bringing a Jewish person toward observance, is more than explaining the technicalities of rituals, like where Shabbat candles may be lit. I learned that it's the personal connection to another Jewish soul. My husband has taught me this, and I have not heard the wrong answer buzzer very often since Louisville.
נמלטנו. והנה עמדו אינו אלוהינו עלינו מעשה ידינו כוננו עלינו מעשה ידינו כונננו. יושב בסייסר עליון בצל שדייס לא ינון אוי מר לאדונו ימחסי ומצודוס אלוהי אבטח בוי כי הוא יצילך מפח יקוש מדבר אבויס בברוסו יוסך לוך וסחס כנופוב תחסה צינו וסויחירו אמיתוי לא יסירו מפחד לא מחצה ופיו עמם מדבר בו יפל יהלוך מכתב ישוד צהרויים יפועל מצדך אלף ורבובו מימינך אליך לא יגוש רק בעיניך סביב ושילומס רשועים תראה כי אתו אדוני מחסי עליון שמתו מעוינך לא יסעוני לכור בכל דרוכך על כפיים יסעונך פן תיגוי בו אבן רגלך על שחל ופסן תדרוך תרמויס כפיר וסנין הביך שק ואפלתהו אסגבהו כי יודע שמי יקרוא עיני ועיניהו עמו אנוכי בצורו אכלצהו ואכבדהו אוירך יומי משביעהו וראהו בישועסי עקביו בן מעלה לא ימר הסתכל בשלושות דברים ועינתו בו לידי עבירו דמעין בוסו ולענתו ילך ולפני ניאתו עשית ליתן דינה וחשבון מעין בוסו ולענתו ילך למקום הפורים ובסוילאו ולפני ניאתו עשית ליתן דינה וחשבון לפני מלך מלכי המלוכים הקדוש ברוך הוא אסור תומים פה לא ככל דרוכוב משפוט אלה אמונו ואינובל צדיק ויושר הוא גדוי לא יצור ורבו עליליו אשר אינך פקוחויס על כל דרכי בני אדום לא סייס לאיש כדרוכו וכפרי מעלולו להגיד כי יושר אדוני צורי ולא אבלו סבוי אדוני נוסן ואדוני לא כוח יהי שם אדוני מבורך והוא רחום יכפר ובוין ולא ישחיס סירבו לא שיב אפוי ולא יועיר כל חמוסוי. יש מישהו יאמר קדיש?
קדיש הרגיל?
כן.
סקדל ויסקדש שמי רבה אדברך ירסי וימך מפוסי בחייך וממיכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך יעלם ויאמר מיה יספרח וישתבח ויספר וישרמם ויסנסי ויסהדור ויסעלה ויסעלל שמי לקודשה בריחו אילם יקל בחסה ושיר עשה שבחסה ונחמסה דם ירם ביומה ויאמרו אמן יש למה רבה מן שמיה בחיים עלינו ויעקל ישראל ויאמרו אמן עושה שלום ורמה ויעשה שלום עלינו בעקל ישראל ויאמרו אמן
לא יחזור גמולה עשו טוי ולא ירוק כל ימי חייו דור שתמר ופישתים ותעש בחפץ כפאו אוי זו כעוני אוי סויכר ממרחק תוביל לחמו ותוקום בעוד לילה ותיתן טרף לביתו וחויק לנער אויסאו זוממו סודה ותיקוחהו מפיך פעונות עוקורם חוגרו בעוזמוס נאו ותאמץ אויסאו תואמו כי טוי וסחרו לא יכבה בלילה נירו יודעו שילכו בקישור וכפה אותם חופולך כפו פורסו לעוני ויודעו שילכו לו אביון אוי זירו בייסו משולג כי כל בייסו לבוש שונים מרבד עם אוססו לו שיש וארגומון לבושו נוידע בשיעורים בעלו בשבטו עם זקני אורץ סודינו ססובתים קויר וחגויר נוסנו לקנני אויז והודור לבושו ותשחק ליום אחרון יו פוסחו בחוכמו וסוירס חסד על לשוינו צויפיו הליכו יסבייסו ולחם עצלוס לא יסויכל קומו בונאו וישרו בעלו ויהללו רבויס בונויס עשו חויל ועתוליס על כולנו שקר החין והבל היופי שוירס אדוני התיסה לו תנו לו מפרי הודאו ויהללו בשעורים מעשהו הקביו בן מעלה לאלוהימר הסתכל בשלושות דבורים ועינתו בו לידי אווירו למאיים בו סוף לענתו ילך מאיים בו סוף ולענתו ילך למקום אפור עמו וסוילאו ולפני מייתו סיבליתם דינה וחשבון לפני מלך מלכי המלוכים הקדוש ברוך הוא עצור תומים פועלוי ככל דרוכוב משפוט אלה אמונו ואינו בל צדיק ויושר הוא גדוי לא יצו ורבו על עליו אשר אינכו פקוחויס על כל דרכי בני אדום לא סייס לאיש כדרוכו וכפרי מעלולו להגיד כי יושר אדוני צורי ולא אבלו סבוי אדוני נוסן ואדוני לא כוח יהי שם אדוני מבורך והוא רחום יכפר ובוין ולא ישחיס וירבו להושיב אפוי ולא יעיר קולך מוסוי
אמן Yisparach, Yishtabach, Yispar, Yisamav, Yisnaseh, Yisnador, Yisalev, Yisalo, Shmei Kutsho, Berichu, Amikol Chosov, Shosov, Shosov, Nechnosov, Adam, Miron, Beronovim, Amen. Eishom Marabon, Mishmayo, Vahai, Protim, Alain, Vato, Yisrael, Amen. Yisrael Shalom, Bimramov, Yasser Shalom, Alain, Vato, Yisrael, Amen.
Ana Esther Bas Reb Chaim
חנה אסתר בס רב חיים ראובן כי מלוכו ויצא ולוך לשמורכו בכל דרוכךו נחום יכפר ובוי ולא ישחית וירבו להושיב אפוי ולא יעיר קולך המוסוי והוא רחום יכפר עווין ולא ישחיס וירבו להושיב אפוי ולא יועיר כל חמוסוי והוא רחום יכפר עווין ולא ישחיס וירבו להושיב אפוי ולא יועיר כל חמוסוי עם הפיציות ושלום כמעט עד הסוף. אסור תומים פה לא ככל דרכו משפוט אל אמונו ואינו בל צדיק ויושרו אסור תומים בכל פועל מי יאמר לו מה תפעול השליט במטו ובמעלה מימיס ומחיה מוריד שאול ויועל אסור תומים בכל מעשה מי יאמר לו מה תעשה אוי מר ואוי סכס אל סינון לא נו תעשה מסוס הנעיקת כסה הנשיב או תעשה בכל דרך מכתרה דברי לחפים ומולה רחמים אמבוינו ופוסנה לא בוי סובונים כלכו דוין הסליחוי ואורחמים צדיקתו עדינו אלוהיס ולאחיוס אשר בידכו פקדוין כל רוחויס עלילו לכו זכרויננו למחויס ויהיונו עיניכו ברחמים עלינו פקוחויס כי לכו עודוין הרחמים והסליחויס אודום אם בנשונו יהיה או 1000 שנים יחיה מה ישרון לו כלא יהיו יהיה ברוך דיונו אמס מימיס ומחיה ברוכו כי אמס דינו משוטט הכל בעינו ומשלם לאודום חשבונו ודינו והכל לשמו הוידו ייתנו יודענו אדוני כי צדק משפטך תצדק בדוברך ותזכה בשופטך ואין לערער אחר מידת שופטך צדיקתו אדוני ויושר משפטך דיון אמס שופט צדק ואמס ברוך דיונו אמס שכל משפט טוב צדק ואמס נפש כל חי ביודך צדק מלאו ימינך ויודך רחם על פליטס צוין ידך וסוימר למלוך חרף יודך גדוי לא יצא ורבו אליליה אשר עינך פקוחויס על כל דרכי בני אדום לא סייס לאיש כדרוכו ותפרי מעלולוק להגיד כי יושר אדוני צורי ולא אבלו סבוי אדוני נוסן ואדוני לקוח, יהי שם אדוני מבורך, והוא רחום, יכפר עוון ולא ישחיס, וירבו להושיב אפוי ולא יועיר כל חמוסוי. ויסגדל ויסקדש שמי רבו, לעולמו דהו עשיד ליסחדתו ולחיו מייסיו, ולעסוקו יאסון לחיי עולמו למבני קרתו לירושלים, ולשך לילי חולי בגבו ולמקר פולחונו נוכרו מערו, ולעטובו פולחונו לשמעיו לעשרו וימליך קודשו בריחו במלכוסי ויקורא ויצמח פולחוני ויקורא משיחי וחייכונו וימכונו וחיי לכל בייס ישראל בעגולו ובזמן קוריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבו מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיו, יסבורך וישתבח ויספואר וישרומם ויסנסי ויסעדור ויסעלה ויסעלול שמי דקודשו בריחו לעילו מן כל ברכסו ושירוסו ושבחסו ונחמוסו דאמירון בעולמו ואמרו אמן. שלמה רבו מן שמעיה וכן טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. ויעשה שלום באמרו עמו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. חנה אסתר בת רב חיים ראובן, בשם החברה קדישה, בשם הקרובים, הידידים והמלווים, אנו מבקשים ממך סליחה ומחילה שמא חס וחלילה פגענו בכבודך, הן בטהרה, בנשיאת המיטה או בתיקון הקבר. אנא סלחי לנו כי אין זו אלא שגגה. החברה קדישה נהגה איתך כמנהגי ירושלים עיר הקודש. הנה מליצת יושר עבור משפחתך, קרובייך וידידייך, ועבור כל כלל ישראל בכל תפוצות ישראל. ויתן השם ויבולה המוות לנצח, ומחה השם אלוקים דמעה מעל כל פנים, ובא לציון גואל במהרה בימינו אמן. אמן. לכי בשלום ותנוחי בשלום ותעמדי לגורלך לקיץ הימים.
If anyone wants to say a few words to the rabbi who's watching us, we could speak them directly.
המקום ינחם אתכם בסוף שעת לציין בירושלים. שמחו.
Rabbi Fischer, Rebbetzin was just such a wonderful and beautiful Rebbetzin in person, and we extend our greatest condolences and just know that there was such a sense of Kedusha today as we let her rest. I could tell that Hashem was with us, that she was with us, her soul was watching on us, and she's made Israel an even better and more holy place by being here. Thank you.
Yes, Rabbi Fischer, that's what Josh said. And you have our condolences, and I brought some red rocks, some stones from the Mediterranean Sea, from the beach where we live in Naharia, to leave with her since she liked red so much. And we're thinking about you. I'm going to put some extra ones here.
Dov, צר לי מאוד שאתה לא פה. אני רציתי להגיד שאתה כרב, כאלן, כרבנית, קיימתם את מה שעשו אברהם ושרה, שעליהם נאמר, ואת הנפש אשר עשו בחרן. מה שאתם עשיתם בקליפורניה, זה את הנפש שעשיתם בחרן. זה המליץ הגדול עליכם ועלינו, שהיא תצלול בצור החיים. אמן.
Okay. I'm Lonnie Oppenheimer. I'm Yehuda Lenny Oppenheimer's wife, and I'm representing him because he's a Kohen and he couldn't come down this far. But I also remember that I did have some interactions with Ellen, Zichrona Livracha, Rebbetzin to Rebbetzin, and I remember she was so very warm and inspiring. And we were able to share and laugh a lot together. And with terrible sadness that I come here to bid her farewell. I've heard wonderful things about how much she and you, Rabbi Fischer, have built and given to the community, and her legacy live on, and she continued to inspire all those who were touched by her. And may Hashem give you strength to continue.
Dov, there's not. What else can I say? Nothing to say. I've tried to express my feelings, what I wrote, and I'm just honored that you asked me to be here, to be at the Kabura of this your very, very special wife, who I at least got to meet once. And it's a beautiful place here. Lachem Neiv Esra Mitzvah Hashem when you join her once again. And I only wish you bracha, chizuk, and they should continue what you guys started together and many years together ahead with good health. And hope you see you in Eretz Yisrael soon.
Eliezer Langer, Rav Dov, just to let you know that you had an unbelievable representation here, and all of the friends and acquaintances and those that you brought closer to Yiddishkeit were here to give Rebbetzin Ellen the proper send-off, and she is surrounded now in the Holy Land of Eretz Yisrael. May her lessons keep on inspiring so many people, as the words that were said inspired all of us.